Hey everyone, this video is going to be a little bit different to how I first envisioned it. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I'm finding update 5.0, and then in the second half I'm going to review the World of Tanks SummerSlam Showdown live stream. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, I'll put a timestamp in the comments below to tell you where that starts. So, how are you finding update 5.0 now that you've had some time to get to grips with it? Part of the title of this video is Growing Pains. I've called it that because it's probably the shortest way I can sum up how I feel about playing right now. While at first I didn't really have an opinion on the WWE wrestling ring in the garage, I now find it to be a bit of an eyesore every time the game ends. I don't know if it's just me, but there was a level of comfort when viewing tanks in the jungle clearing or the tank workshop before that. It felt appropriate and fitting. The wrestling ring is neither of those things. But I'm not going to dwell on things or points that have already been discussed before. What I want to discuss in this video is what I've observed since the update went live. I'm going to call it consoleism. The tendency to think that all players using the opposing console are crap. There's been a bit of a change in the way the game plays. Like we've said before, two ecosystems merged and a new balance is still working itself out. But what I've discovered for myself is this. I see a player doing something weird and the first thought is, this Xbox noob doesn't know what they're doing. I check the team list to confirm my own console bias, and they're using the same console as me. There goes that theory. This leads me to think that there is possibly an element of experimentation going on. Consoles learning from each other, trying new things maybe. Or on the other hand, it's a complete shit show because the current ops that are running encourage stupid gameplay. Which is my next point of discussion. These ops. The great ones are tracking assist, spotting assist, earning kills or damage. Those are the things that encourage players to positively participate and positively improve their playstyle. On the other hand, there are some ops that encourage absolutely ridiculous play, like block 60,000 damage. I understand that this might be a way of encouraging people to learn to sidescrape in heavies, but for me, what it actually did was encourage me to drive my mouse up the centre road on Lakeville, angle the hull and the turret slightly, and put the controller down. Yes, I did actually do this, and I bounced over 10,000 damage. I was absolutely useless to my team, but hey, I had an op to complete. In my professional life, I started off as a CAD technician, creating technical drawings for various engineering disciplines. In this profession I learned this. If someone can misinterpret or misunderstand you, they will. I think this applies here. Yes, bouncing damage while also participating in the battle is the best thing to do for the team. But if you allow people to get away with doing things that don't benefit the wider team, then all you're really doing is making things generally worse for everyone. I've tried to think of an alternative op for blocking damage, but no matter how I look at it, if you solely focus on blocking damage, people will play like idiots. It may be best to just simply do away with this op altogether. Other ops that I don't think are good for everyone are the ones that require players to platoon up. Most players play solo, and we are now on week 3, and so far, if I remember correctly, there have been a total of 19 points available only to those players who play as part of a platoon. 10 points for 300,000 damage as a platoon, and 9 points for 3,000 damage per game for the platoon combined. I get that there is a push to unite players, that is what 5.0 is all about, but to limit players' earnings or dictate a playstyle doesn't seem to be the best approach. I mean, these ops could change to 300,000 damage as a platoon or 150,000 solo, whichever comes first. Right now, these are all things that are causing me to have what I would call growing pains with the game. That's not to say that the experience is all bad. I really do like the new game dynamic at times. On the whole, I feel the games are lasting longer and are much more tactical than they ever have been. The cosmetic side of the game does need some attention, but under the surface it is much better now than it has been for a good few years. Originally, I was going to end the video here, but just before recording this, I watched the World of Tanks console SummerSlam show. Originally, I was going to end the video here, but just before recording this, I watched the World of Tanks console SummerSlam Showdown livestream. It kicked off in true American style, with the world's largest barbecue being used to prepare meals for charity purposes. Okay, unless you're a vegetarian or a vegan, I can't fault that. It's not really tanking related, but it's for a good cause, so, you know, that's fine. They can do that. If that's what they want to do, that's what they can do. The stream then moved on to spray painting a Centurion with the SummerSlam colours and decals. The end goal here being to give people the chance to win an opportunity to drive this particular Centurion. The graffiti artist finished off by saying, "With WWE and World of Tanks, I can see how the two go hand in hand." Seriously? You've clearly never played the game before, and if you have, you've never played it seriously. This approach seems to be... well, I was hoping that this approach was something Wargaming weren't going to carry on doing, but apparently they are. Their approach seems to be, come up with a money-making idea, with no restrictions on how ridiculous the idea is, shoehorn a tank into it, and then proceed to pat yourself on the back because you came up with an idea and you're insisting that everyone loves it and everyone thinks it's amazing. Alright, let's move on. The next 20-minute segment was Steve Austin interviewing World War II tank veterans. This is a good move. I like this. This is what I want to see from the game. This is the content that I would say the majority of us are interested in. Real accounts from real veterans of the tanking era, World War II, talking about their highs and lows and their experiences. To me, this is partly why I play tanks. It's interviews like this and videos by Nicholas Moran that make me interested in the game. I'm interested in knowing these stories and the history and visiting museums because it's all real. And I think this is a very good move by Wargaming. I really, really like this part. The last 20 minutes, though, left me like, what am I watching? The showdown segment wasn't really a showdown at all. The announcer and two wrestlers showcasing some of the new wrestling premium tanks in team training battles. And I can quote one of them saying, "And that's how you win in style." Is it though? Like, really? If anyone who's played the game more than a year will know that, oh, that's team training. I can do that. That's easy. That's not really challenging. This content is not going to stick with veterans of the game. Yeah, if you throw enough shit at the wall, it's going to stick, but why is that the approach being taken with this game? This showdown segment was followed by two gentlemen yelling and screaming at the aforementioned Centurion and performing a wet willy on a sparring dummy. Yes, I'm not lying, go see it for yourself. This segment was titled Demolition. Here we get to see the Centurion drive through some hay bales, drive over a 3-year-old's playhouse, and knock over some sparring dummies with its barrel. The only thing I can say Wargaming got right here is they only destroyed one of the sparring dummies. Now, I used to do kickboxing many years ago, and I know from personal experience that these dummies are very, very expensive, so I'm glad they didn't just drive over a whole lot and wreck a whole bunch of perfectly good equipment. Earlier on in the stream, the graffiti artist was quoted as saying, "They, the wrestlers, do have the attitude that would come with something like a tank." After seeing all of the content in this stream, I have these final thoughts. Maybe I'm the one taking it too far here, but aren't tanks a serious weapon of war? When I think of actual tank battles and tank crews, my mind goes to the World War II footage of a Panther being taken out by either a Sherman or a Sherman and a Pershing in Cologne. There's a very harrowing 10-minute breakdown of this footage on YouTube, which I can link to somewhere here on the screen or in the comments. You can see the Panther on fire and its crew doing its best to escape while taking small arms fire. You can also see the crew of the Sherman escaping. The gunner falls to the ground after climbing out the top hatch, and the commander is also seen climbing out of the top hatch but missing his left leg just below the knee. From what I've understood, the commander died of his wounds several minutes after escaping. So now we have some context. Fake wrestling for entertainment, or raw footage of history which gives rise to respect and appreciation for our history. Is it just me, or is it disrespectful to tag juvenile smack talk onto the end of a veteran talking about how a comrade was killed instantly by shellfire? I know there are some at Wargaming who have heard our feedback, and it takes some time for all this to filter back to the right people who need to hear it. I apologise for banging the same drum, but the majority of us are here because we have an interest in history and the fighting vehicles themselves. From the bottom of my heart, as a player who loves this game, Wargaming, please don't do this again. And that just about wraps it up for this one, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you're all still keeping safe and well, and I will see you on the battlefield.